Greg here, Vice President of Marketing at Ubiquity Executive Coaches. And today I am here with one of our amazing coaches, Lucille Ossai, to find out just a bit more about her. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Lucille.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this discussion because I think it's really important. So fire away.
I'm wondering if you can start by describing your ideal client for us.
My ideal client. Well, in my work, I have worked with professionals, entrepreneurs, and business leaders. And I would say that those are the people that are most passionate about using communication to improve their results, to boost their credibility. So those will be my ideal clients: professionals, business leaders, and entrepreneurs.
How do you like to help your clients achieve their goals? Do you have a certain process?
That's a really good question, Greg, and I'm glad you asked that. I usually start the process of coaching by getting as much information from my client as possible. So I could schedule a call, a Zoom meeting, or we could have a telephone conversation where I ask specific questions about their challenges and how they imagine working with me would help them along in their journey. So I start by asking really insightful questions. And I'm actually very sensitive in this process because I realize that it takes a lot of courage to reach out to somebody to request for assistance. You have to be vulnerable and willing to admit that you need help. So I'm very respectful of their situation, and I try to provide as much information about my processes and how I believe I can be of assistance to them. Yeah. And once we agree on a general scope of events or activities, I send them the information and we just start the process. But more importantly, Greg, I remain flexible because while I might have an agenda for each session, I do realize that it's important for the client to be as comfortable as possible, and he or she might desire to tackle a different problem than what is written or what has been scheduled for that session. So it's really important as a coach that I remain flexible. I can be very demanding as a coach. That's only because I want the best for the client, but I'm very respectful of their time. I'm respectful of the tone, especially the cultural differences that may arise if I'm working with professionals and leaders across the globe. But more importantly, I always try to reassure them that communication skills are critical in their development, and they would be very useful to get the results that they seek. So flexibility, empathy, and knowledge sharing. So that is what I believe would be my greatest strength in coaching. An appreciation of their challenges as well.
I'm wondering if you can share with us some feedback from any of your past clients.
Over the years, I've gotten some feedback from MBA students that I've coached and some executives that I have conducted seminars with, and so on and so forth. But I would like to share a few in particular. It's just heartwarming to receive those testimonials because they encourage me and they reassure me that I'm on the right path to helping my clients. And they also motivate me to take my communication step a step higher and to continue to improve my processes and to continue to tweak certain aspects that need to evolve as time goes on. So it is an absolute pleasure to share those testimonials with you. And I'm always learning. Yeah, I'm always learning.
I'm curious, what is your background and how did you get into coaching?
My background, well, I studied at the London School of Economics. I have a master's degree, believe it or not, in industrial relations and personal management from the London School of Economics, and a BA degree in French from the University of Leicester. So after my studies in the UK, I returned to Nigeria and landed a really interesting job at the Embassy of Sweden. Yeah, so I was at the Embassy of Sweden for a couple of years, in addition to being employed by the Nigerian Swedish Chamber of Commerce. Now, at the Embassy of Sweden and the Swedish Trade Council, I worked as a business developer, where I helped to increase trade opportunities between Nigerian companies and Swedish counterparts. So I did that for a few years. And at the Nigerian Swedish Chamber of Commerce, I was the first executive secretary. So it was a new role, and there I was in my 20s, having landed this role, and I was just really eager to make my mark. So it was a very good experience for me. So I was at these two organizations for a couple of years, after which I decided to resign voluntarily, to concentrate on my family. So I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple of years. And when I was prepared to jump into Corporateville, it was impossible to get a decent job. So this was the height of the global financial crisis in 2007 and 2008. So I thought, what do I do? So I decided impulsively to begin a business communication blog, which I named the Rethinking Business Communication blog. So that's what I did. And it was really important. That was a pivotal point in my life, because at that time I had become quite passionate about communications. I often wondered why things were not right, why people were not communicating effectively, why companies were making mistakes, and so on and so forth. So that blog enabled me to explore my passion, to research on communication, to explore and to share my knowledge of effective business communication. So I did that for a few years before a company reached out to me, and because someone recommended the company to me. So a company reached out to me and requested that I do training for the team. This was a small consulting company in Lagos, Nigeria. And this was what is interesting, Greg, The company reached out to me because somebody had recommended that they do so after they had read my blog. So if I hadn't started that blog, and if I hadn't been sharing my expertise and knowledge in my blog, I would never have gotten the opportunity. So that's how it started. And then a couple of months after that first training with a private company in Lagos, Nigeria, an opportunity at the Lagos Business School presented itself as the communications coach. So it was a process with interview, presentations, and so on and so forth, and I landed the job. So I officially became steeped in business communication in the coaching field. And I'm at that organization currently where I work as the communications coach part-time. And over the years, I had launched my company, and I had continued to provide training and coaching and advisory services and business communication. So that quickly became my forte, my area of expertise, and an area I'm completely passionate about to today. So in a nutshell, that's my background, and that's how I got into coaching and business communications training and advisory services and so on and so forth. And over the years, I've just become obsessed. I've become obsessed with effective communication, and often provide services and share knowledge and nonverbal communication, public speaking, business writing, and interpersonal communication.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me here today. It's been great meeting you, Lucille. All the best in the future.
Thank you, Greg. And thank you for inviting me. Very tough questions, but I'm glad I was given the opportunity to provide some insight into my background and into my services and into my skills. So let's do this again any other time. Yeah. Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Bye.